David. Well, some performance. Meanwhile, the athletes waiting a little impatiently and very edgily now for the start of this 800 metres. Harkonnen of Finland, Bugger of Norway, Koskay of Kenya, third fastest man in the world this year, Gladwin of Belgrave Harriers in Great Britain, Larby of Morocco, a 146 man, Garry Cook looking for something like 144 that he did last season, James King, the hurdler, will make the pace, Cruz, the 20-years-old Brazilian, Guimaraes, fourth in the Olympic Games, and Paul Forbes, the new holder of the Scottish record, at 145.6, and away they go. The first bend, run in lanes, and then they break. There's a tremendous tear up round that bend. 10 athletes in this race. There's bound to be some bumping and boring, and Koskay of Kenya has gone off like a startled hare to try and get clear. Coming across from the outside, though, is King, and Cruz, the giant young Brazilian, only 20, goes up into second place. Garry Cook at the moment back in fifth place. He'll have to get off that curb. Under 25 for the first 200. Still King leading. In second place is Cruz. Third is Guimaraes. Fourth is Paul Forbes of Scotland. Five is Koskay. Garry Cook in sixth place. And seventh is the Moroccan Larby. Through the bell in 50.61, and that is fast. And King is still streaming away. Cruz going along, this giant 20-year-old from Brazil. And he's really stretching out there as he cuts down King, and he's followed by Guimaraes, and the race is really on. Paul Forbes in third place, Garry Cook is fourth, Koskay five, Gladwin six, and Garry Cook there at the outside of the third place with just over 200 to go. It's the young Brazilian in front, chased by the smaller Brazilian who was fourth in the Olympic Games. Then Garry Cook in third place and try to close, but the Brazilians are going away. Koskay is fourth, Paul Forbes is five, Gladwin six. Into the straight, and Cruz has run a magnificent race. Guimaraes is trying to tackle him. Cook is closing, but it's Cruz going away. Guimaraes tying up, and Cook coming with every stride. But Cruz wins it for Brazil. Garry Cook gets second for Great Britain. Guimaraes third, Koskay fourth, Gladwin five. Harkonnen six. In seventh place was Paul Forbes. The time 1:44.03. And all we heard about this young Brazilian 2 years ago is turning out to be true. At the age of 18, he allegedly did 1:44. There was some doubt about that, and no one really believed it when we saw him run badly against Sebastian Coe in the World Cup in Rome. But when you look at him now, and the way he ran that race, he's a true giant. And doesn't he remind you a little bit of a younger Wantarina? Garry Cook, well, there was nothing he could do to follow that pace, but he has clocked about 1:45, which puts him right in line for World Championship selection. Cook in second place, beating Guimaraes of Brazil, the man who finished fourth in the Olympic Games. Just the unofficial time once more for the winner, 1:44.03. Of course, the fastest man in the world this year is Seb Coe at 1:43.8. But there's no doubt at all that Cruz will be a threat to Coe. Well, Garry Cook, of course, must be delighted with that run. He's had a broken elbow. He started the season late. And he's really been working hard to get back into trim. And he wanted a race like this. Certainly Kathy Cook at home, formerly Kathy Smallwood, will have enjoyed that. And there's no doubt at all that Cook needed that race. He couldn't go with the early pace, I don't think, but my word, he was closing fast at the end. But this is the young man, though, that is the real hero now, and no wonder. He looks absolutely undisturbed, not distressed at all, and I wonder what Sebastian Coe thought about that. And David Moorcroft's sitting back in the studio there. David, I think that's the second fastest time this year, and it was impressive, wasn't it?
It was very impressive, particularly as he came off the bend with a lot of pressure on him. The other Brazilian was close to him, but he accelerated down the straight, continued to pull away, and as you said, he is remarkably like Wantarina. But he may well have the same problems that Wantarina had in qualifying in heats, getting in a bunch of people, and he's a little bit ungainly, and that might be difficult for him in the qualifying rounds. But it will certainly be interesting to see how he goes in Helsinki, particularly against Sebastian Coe, who's smaller. Actually, that's a fascinating point you make about qualifying, because the tactical races usually, but of course he seems to have the power to make his own pace. Yeah, a guy like Cruz is great on fast pace, but he won't want to run fast in the heats and the second round in the semi-final at the World Championships. And it's just a sort of silly situation where he might get knocked out in a slow tactical race. And he's young and inexperienced, so somebody's got to get through to him that, like they did Juan Torino, that he's got to run his own race and go from the front.
I'll tell you what, though, Garry Cook's coming back, isn't he? Gary's had a struggling season. I'll tell you what, instead of talking to you, David, I think we can actually hear from Garry Cook, who's with Brendan Foster.
Garry, you're sitting on the track because you can't get up, is that right?
Certainly is, Brendan, certainly is.
Congratulations, though. We clocked you just over 1:45, and you looked as though you were really finishing strongly. It augurs well for later in the year.
Well, that's it. I mean, that was more of a time trial for me. I had no indication of what time I'd run, so 1:45, I'm very pleased with that.
What do you think of the Brazilian?
It's just pure strength, I think. Very, very strong. Hits the front early and just digs deep and stays there.
So you're happy with that, and we can look forward to Helsinki now, do you think?
Well, I should ask the selectors, but hope so, Brendan, yeah.
Thanks a lot, Garry.